Hey, welcome. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for joining me. Today's reading is the person on your mind. How do they perceive you at the moment? Maybe you're asking about someone or a group of people in general, but please just take the messages that resonate and make sense for you, okay? So, how do they perceive you? There are three groups for you to choose from. Group one, the citrine crystal. Group two, the clear quartz, geode. And group three, the pink tourmaline. If you need to take a moment to choose your group, feel free to pause the video for a moment, but I will see you in your readings. Okay, if you've chosen the first group, the citrine crystal, then this reading is for you. The person on your mind or group of people or in general, how do they perceive you? At the moment, we have the Four of Cups in reverse, and we also have the Death card in reverse. Okay, this is weird, but the person you're asking about, they perceive you as a threat, but they also perceive you as someone that's not threatening at the same time. Like, this isn't threat as in a conflict kind of way or fighting kind of way or aggressive, or even a competitive kind of way. Well, maybe not from your side anyway, like intentionally from your side. But maybe your presence is a threat to someone else or a relationship, or it's a threat to them in some way, even though you're not trying to threaten said person or relationship or situation, or trying to impose or whatever it is, but they still perceive you as a threat. But again, like, they don't think you are intentionally doing that or trying to make them feel that way or trying to make someone else feel that way. But yeah, they perceive you as kind of bored and disinterested, mainly in them, but this could be referring to other things as well. Like, say, for example, this is someone you work with, they could feel like you seem disinterested and bored in certain areas of your work, stuff like that, or if you share another environment with this person. But for a lot of you, it could be actually referring to how they think you feel or see them, you know? Or they could perceive you as bored or not interested in things that are kind of monotonous. They do perceive you as slightly apathetic, but they also feel that you are or want to distance yourself from the things that make you feel that way. They do see you as exciting and different from the people around you or them. They do think you are in your own world a lot of the time. Like, they could perceive you as being quite distant, like even when you are present, like they could feel like your mind is off somewhere else, you know? They do perceive you as kind though, and always trying to do your best. They do see you as maybe not open to change, maybe a little stubborn as well. But they do think you're focused and very self-aware, aware of your surroundings, maybe aware of the people around you. But mostly it could be that you just seem unbothered to them. Like, you want to be anywhere but where you are at that time. Or, again, like if this is someone you share a certain environment, like they could feel like you want to be anywhere but there. But they do see you as someone who enlightens them, who enlightens other people or educates them and other people. They also think they're ready to move forward with you in a way. In what way? Especially if this person has been stubborn, like they could feel like they're ready to move forward from whatever energy they were holding on to or harboring towards you. For some of you, they could just be ready to just leave things be. Maybe they had an issue or a gripe with you and they're kind of just ready to get over it and move on and not continue to make a big deal out of something, you know? But they do see you as someone who is grateful or someone they're grateful for. You could have opened their eyes. They do see you as not wanting change or you're not used to change. Even though I think I may have said that already. But yeah, do you have more from this one? Okay, so we have take a trip and we also have you need a big hug. How do they perceive you? So they could perceive you as needing to be more loving. No. Maybe just more open emotionally. This could be towards them specifically. Like they could want you to embrace them more. The Seven of Pentacles, you know, popped out. So they could want you to be more invested in them. Just show maybe you are interested in their perspective. We also have take a trip. How do they perceive you? They could perceive you as needing to take a trip, maybe needing to take a break. They could actually perceive you as maybe planning a trip for yourself or planning a break. But again, like it could come back to that energy that came up before of them kind of seeing you as someone who just wants to get away and like be anywhere than where you are. But this may not be in terms of your life in general. It could just be like, again, like when you're at work or when you're tending to certain responsibilities. Like they could just perceive you as maybe bored of it. So we have gift. It says be present. So yeah, similar to what came out before, like they don't perceive you as being present sometimes, you know, like in your own world. We also have spiritual and religious community. So they could actually perceive you as needing to, or maybe you would benefit from seeking out people who are maybe similar to you, who maybe thinks the same way as you, who are maybe open to the same things as you know, stuff like that. Maybe they kind of perceive you as needing to make friends. This could be like referring to them actually as well when it comes to like making friends or, you know, seeing if you guys are of like mind. If that makes any sense. So we also have conservative. How do they perceive you? So at times they could perceive you as quite conservative. We also have supportive. They also see you as supportive as well. We have intense. So for some of you, they perceive you as someone who isn't as intense or maybe even intimidating as some other people make you out to be. For others of you, though, it could be that they perceive you as not liking or wanting intense moments. Like you prefer for things to be like more chill. And finally, we have bad-tempered. So it actually feels like they perceive you as someone who doesn't have a bad temper, especially if there was some misconception in the past. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it could be helpful and make sense. But I'm wishing you all the best, okay? Take care. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you have chosen the second group, the Clear Quartz Geo, then this reading's for you. The person, people, situation on your mind, how do they perceive you at the moment? We have the moon in reverse. And we also have the Two of Swords upright. Alright, so how do they perceive you? Okay, so it feels like they see you as becoming more vulnerable, maybe more of an open book. Not that they necessarily see you as being more open, like, you know, like one moment you're closed off and you don't say much about yourself, and then the next moment, you're blabbering about your whole life story. Like, it doesn't really feel like they see you as being open in that way, but it feels like it's almost like they're changing the way they see you. Like before they could have perceived you like, it's like, for example, like they could see you now as being more vulnerable, whereas before maybe they saw you as quite tough, but it feels like now they're kind of just realizing certain things about you. So in the past, like, you could have been hard to read for this person. Now they feel like it's a little easier to understand you. It's a little easier to, read you and not misinterpret certain things that you do or certain things that you say. But they perceive you as someone who is really bright. They see you as someone who sparkles, someone who stands out naturally. They do see you as someone they are still conflicted about, though. For some of you, it's because it could be because they perceive you as impatient, but for others of you, it feels like they are conflicted by the different parts of you they see. It's like one moment they can see you in black and gray, and the next moment they see you as colorful. It feels like there's parts of you that are very, conflicting, like polar opposites in one person that they see and that they notice, and it makes them feel conflicted because they're not really sure, For some of you, it's because they wonder if you are as good as you seem. They could think you are hiding a darker side. They think that they've seen glimpses of it, though, but again, they aren't sure. So that's why they feel conflicted. It's like, did I see what I think I saw, or am I misinterpreting things about this person? So yeah, they do feel a bit conflicted. And it's also partly because they don't feel like someone could be maybe that good or that pleasant or that kind or composed, but they do see you as someone who is quite seductive. Like, you do have this natural pull, like this natural allure, that they do see you as quite sexy as well. They also see you as someone that they are slightly obsessed with. And a part of, again, like another reason they do feel slightly conflicted about you is because they feel like your allure that you have, that pull you have, that seductiveness that you have is intentional. But at the same time, there's nothing in your actions that says it's intentional. Not that it matters, but it matters to them for some reason. Like, they could just be worried that they are being, manipulated in some way. Like, for some of you, they could perceive you as manipulative, but not in like the negative, horrible way that some people could see that. But it just feels like, again, like it comes back to that conflict that they feel. And they could wonder if it's like in their head or whether it is intentional. At the moment, though, it does feel like they're more so stuck on it not being intentional. But anyways, they do see you as maybe becoming more fearless. They do see you as composed and confident, maybe quietly confident. But again, like they're not sure whether or not like you're confident, or if they like sense a tad bit of smugness to you. Like, it feels like they're just not sure. But they do perceive you as balanced or trying to find balance, and at times maybe trying to blend in. Maybe when it comes to certain environments, they feel like you're trying to blend in. But yeah, they could feel like they're at a crossroads with you, and they also think that that you're on the fence when it comes to them. They also perceive you as being pulled in different directions, maybe having to make difficult decisions, maybe in your day to day. But yeah, they could also see you as being cautious of them, and maybe just having caution in general. And they could also perceive you as not being able to think clearly at times, or maybe even in certain environments, that it's not easy for you to think clearly. So we have don't force it. And we also have you are being shady. How do they perceive you? So yeah, again, like for some of you, they could perceive you as maybe being a bit, maybe sly, maybe shady, if that's the right word. So this may not be for everyone, but for some of you, they perceive you as someone that they shouldn't force a connection with, or force their ideas upon, or whatever it is. Like, if you felt that force or that push, or, that neediness from them in other ways, like they have realized that maybe that they shouldn't, push you, and just kind of let it maybe happen naturally. So we have party, celebrate yourself. So with the Six of Wands Hierophant coming out to clarify, it feels like they perceive you as already celebrating yourself, or needing to celebrate yourself, or you will be soon celebrating yourself. So for some of you, they could perceive you as like, let me see. I don't know, it doesn't really feel like putting yourself on a pedestal. But they could perceive you as maybe thinking highly of yourself. And we also have let yourself feel all of your emotions. So even though they could perceive you as being quite closed off in certain ways, or emotionally, or when it comes to certain things emotionally, you just like maybe don't get into. But whatever it is, it feels like they also perceive you as someone who kind of just allows other people to express and feel the emotions that they're feeling, even if you don't really kind of allow yourself that same grace. So we have non-competitive. How do they perceive you? So they perceive you as someone that other people shouldn't try to compete against for some reason. Is there a reason? There's not much of a reason. It just feels like they don't see it as a good idea for other people to try and compete with you in some way. So we also have serious. So they could perceive you as being quite serious. We also have hypocritical. For some of you, they could perceive you that way. Again, like, there's not any real reason why they could perceive you that way. It could just be a feeling they have, or again, like those conflicting feelings they have. Like, I'm not sure if I saw what I saw. I'm not sure if how I feel about you is, accurate. And finally, we have thoughtful. But they also perceive you as someone who is quite thoughtful when it comes to other people, or maybe a very specific group of people. Maybe you have a soft spot for like kids or animals or something like that. I don't know. But they do perceive you as thoughtful in like specific ways or specific areas of your life, But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I really do hope it can make sense and be helpful. But I am wishing you all the best, okay? Please take care. Bye. Hello, welcome. I hope you're doing good. So if you have chosen the third group, the pink tourmaline, and this reading is for you, the person on your mind. How do they perceive you at the moment? We have the Chariot upright, Chariot upright, and the Six of Swords in reverse. So the person that you're asking about, situation or group of people, whatever it may be, they perceive you as a go-getter, very confident in yourself, and they really like that about you. They do see you as attractive, and they think you fully realize how attractive you are as well. For some of you, it could just be about them, like they fully realize that you know that they think you're attractive, okay, or other people find you attractive. But they perceive you as pleasant and as great company. They do think you're hardworking, that you always get what you want, because of how hard you work and because of how determined you are. For some of you, though, they do think your kindness doesn't reach your face, if that makes sense. But deep down, they feel like you're pretty pleasant and very kind. Um, but because they do perceive you as pretty serious for the most part, they feel like it doesn't really, it's like maybe you could be happy, but people wouldn't know you're happy by like looking at your face, if that makes sense. Um, but it feels like they perceive you as pretty serious for the most part, but at the same time, it feels like they either know or they've seen you like not take yourself too seriously. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a duality. It could just be like certain times and certain moments you're serious. Like I don't have a sense of humor when it comes to this. Like maybe when it comes to your children or when it comes to education or your work. Like I don't have a sense of humor. Okay, but when it comes to like other areas of your life, you don't really take yourself too seriously. So yeah, it could be a bit of that going on, or like that's how they perceive you, but they could think like people who don't know you wouldn't understand you because of how serious but unserious you are. They do perceive you as independent and overall just doing your own thing. They perceive you as strong and disciplined and always trying to be the best person that you can be. They do see you as like focused on your own stuff. They perceive you as someone who doesn't really have a shred of jealousy in them. Like they do perceive you as someone who could be competitive though. But they do think you have so much self-control. They don't really view you as either impatient or patient though, you know? They kind of perceive you as quite natural, quite maybe quite neutral. They also perceive you as free, or maybe someone who loves or wants freedom, more freedom. They do think of you as having encountered a lot of rejection though. And they do feel like, again, in that perspective, they do feel like it has really affected you. But at the same time, like they don't feel like you, like they regardless of the rejection that you could still feel, they do feel like you keep it moving regardless. You don't linger on it too much, or you try not to linger on it too much, or you try it, like even though you can still feel that rejection, they kind of perceive you as you not wanting it to affect how you act or how you treat other people, and stuff like that. So even though it's there, they feel like you try not to carry it around or let it impact you or relationships, if that makes sense. But they do perceive you as quite realistic. They do see you as someone who's facing a difficult time, but they also feel like you're almost welcoming this challenge that they perceive you as facing. So they could also think that you both don't really have a lot of time for each other. For some of you, they could think your past always comes back to haunt you, almost. But honestly, they're not sure how you're coping with that. But they see you as really strong regardless, and always standing your ground or ready to stand your ground. But they perceive you as healing as well. Maybe healing for other people, or maybe healing for them or specific people in your life, maybe family, friends, children. But they could also perceive you as, wanting to grow, wanting to overcome. Especially because of how you face challenges. But they could also perceive you as not really having the freedom to move around as you would like to. So we also have you think someone is lying. How do they perceive you? And we also have some good things are about to happen. So they actually perceive you as someone who is able to kind of tell when they're lying. So they also feel like there needs to be something good to happen for you. It's like they would be happy to see something good happen for you. So we also have transition, release attachments to what was and prepare for what is to come. So they could also see you as transitioning into a new phase in your life. We have deep healing. I mean, there was that message earlier about healing that came up. So they could perceive you as trying to heal, wanting to heal. Because they do feel like your past still has a hold on you in certain ways. Even though you may try for it not to. We have doubtful. So they perceive you as someone who is a realist, like they don't really perceive you as being an optimist. I mean, for some of you, this isn't for everyone. For some of you, they could perceive you as being a pessimist at times. Some of the cards are falling out. We also have reserved. So at times they could perceive you as reserved. We also have simply genuine. Like they do perceive you as someone who is very genuine, someone that they could trust. Actually, I don't think trust is the right sentiment, but they do but they do think you are really genuine. And finally, we have unfriendly. So they don't perceive you as unfriendly, but they do think it could be easy for other people to perceive you that way. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this here group. I do hope it can be helpful, make sense. But I'm wishing you all the best, okay? Please take care of yourselves. Bye bye.